Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tea Time with Taylor. My name is Taylor. I am the Client Engagement Manager with Performance Tracker X. Every single month, we do this webinar for our Performance Tracker X clients and anyone interested in general industry insights and data trends. So if you guys have any questions about Performance Tracker X, the program, or anything, you can feel free to reach out to me anytime. Or if you have questions throughout the presentation, please know that the Q&A section is enabled. So you guys can type in your questions there and we'll be sure to address them by the end of the call today. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into today's subject matter. We are halfway through 2026. Congratulations, you've all made it so far. I feel like this year is just flying by. But today I'm going to go over some of the items that I like to recommend and that our business consulting team likes to recommend to our clients on Performance Tracker to make sure that they're kind of doing everything appropriately throughout the year and they're not, blindsided in December of like, oh, hey, why is my response rate only 20% or something like that? We want to make sure that we're checking in on all of our results and everything throughout the year. That way we can make sure everything's appropriate. So I'm going to go ahead and dive right in to some year-to-date benchmarking. Now, these stats are available in the dashboards for all Performance Tracker X users. We have a benchmark column that gives some averages of the system. And this slide here is showing the averages in the system right now. I will show some of the top performers in a short bit so you can see who's ranked at the top of our Performance Tracker awards for right now. But some net promoter scores, this is divided out by segment. So funeral home, cremation, and cemetery. You can see we've got, some higher numbers here. Cemetery is always a little bit lower, so this isn't too surprising for me to see, especially halfway through the year. Overall satisfaction scores. So this question on the survey is on a 1 to 5 scale. That's why you can see the scale does change between net promoter score and then overall satisfaction. So 4.9, 4.9, and then 4.8, still pretty high. I will say when you pull your stats for either your location or your organization, it is important to take the time to go through and kind of highlight any outliers you see. Anything like even if a 4.8, that might be actually pretty low for you, depending on the rest of your scores. So just keep an eye on that throughout the year. And there is a delta variance column in the benchmarking of your dashboard. So you can see the differences between where you're at and where these averages are right now in the system. Now, overall performance scores, that's exactly what it says it is. All of the results on the survey compiled into this 0 to 1,000 score. That's the scale. So obviously a high 900 is a really solid score to have. The averages right now in the system, 975 for funeral, low cost cremation is 971.3, and then 948 is for cemetery. So again, cemetery is always just a little bit lower on satisfaction scores. That's a consistency that we see throughout the year. And then just keep in mind some of these mid-tier scores when you're looking at yours, because we've got some people in like the low 900s right now, even lower than that, I think, for a couple of locations. So you guys want to be a little bit higher than that. And this really tells you um, the satisfaction of the family's experience throughout the entire survey. We ask several different sections around, initial contact or first impression, staff and services, the funeral director that they worked with. There's an entire section on that. And then the actual facilities and operations on site. So a lot of stuff compiled just into this one score. So, in order to get this in your dashboard, for any current users that are on the call right now and wondering how do I see these results? Don't worry, I know that there's a lot available to you in your dashboard. So I've got this on here for you. Just go to your survey performance primary tab, the results sub tab, and then make sure your filter is, set appropriately, however you would like to see it. This is an example of if you just want to see one quarter at a time. And then you will get this full sheet of all of the survey results. And then the benchmark column is included there. So I know this is super tiny. It's just there for reference right now. Now, diving into some of the current year rankings. So I am going to start off with response rate rankings. Your response rate is pretty important to be looking at. If you don't have a statistically valid sample of data, then, you're not really gauging where you at as a business. You're not really hearing from the families of how satisfied they are with you. So we do have a goal set in the system of performance tracker. The dial for rating a performance, or I'm sorry, a response rate will turn green at 40%. That's the goal we have set. I will say 30% is the minimum qualifying score for response rate for the awards at the end of each year. So you want to make sure that your location has at least 30% if you want to be in consideration for those awards. Now, when I was reviewing this, these are actually pretty low compared to where they were last year this time. I did a mid-year review in 2025 as well, and we were in the 70s at the highest location response rate. So we're just under that right now. And then the highest individual arranger, this is still pretty high at 76.9. That's really great for a response rate. Obviously, I was just saying the goal is 40%. So 76.9 is just out of this world. And then the overall average for all locations on the system right now is 37.0. So that is actually right on par with where we were at last year. I think it was like 36.8 last year, if I remember accurately. But this number though did drop. We were at 89% last year of companies that are on performance tracker and have at least a 30% response rate. And this year we're only at 82%. So it's just something that we are looking at across the board. Data collection is a huge thing. That's something I'll talk about in a little bit for you to keep an eye on. So just making sure that all family contact information is properly entered into your case management system. Informing families that they will receive a survey. If families don't know it's coming, then they're probably going to think it's spam. They're not going to think twice about it. Also, they're not going to be as motivated to fill it out unless it comes directly from the person that they worked with as a request. So we just want to make sure that, when family members are being thanked, that like by, or I'm sorry, when repeat that and go over it again. When family members are thanking the funeral director, is what I meant to say. It's a perfect time to mention the survey to families, because the funeral director is the one who cultivated that relationship with the family, and families really are looking for something that they can do that will help the arranger. And what's more helpful than providing direct feedback to their management team. Include visual aids, a paper, flyer, physical representation of the survey invitation. If you guys need a copy of that, you can reach out to me. It's also available in your dashboard. But having some type of visual, especially if you use the third-party logo that we have, which is for the family care survey. If you're using your internal logos, it is a little bit more identifiable for families when they get that email, obviously. But just making sure that families know what it's going to look like. They know what email address it comes from. Even if you just passively print out a copy of it and include it in the folder of papers that you send home with the family, that will help keep it in their eye line at least before the invitation goes out for the survey. Now, we're going to dive into some new reporting that is not yet available in your dashboards, but it will be very soon. So next month, we will be launching these new tabs that will tell you even more about your data than what we have right now. So right now in your dashboard, as far as data entry into the case management system goes, we have percentages of email collection rates and mobile number collection rates. So, what percentage of your cases actually has a contact method to send a survey to. Now, we go even deeper than that in this new tab. We do have a summary across the board. You can see all the different invitation methods here, even paper for those still on paper. So a physical address. We are able to provide you with details of, are the emails that are included in that percentage of what is being provided to us, how many of them are accurate? Are we getting a lot of bounces? It looks like we are, so you can see in some of these reports what the exact holdup is, and that is going to be affecting your response rate over time. So text message rejections, a lot of times there's a landline typed into the mobile number field of your point of sale system. So that's something to keep an eye on, and just make sure that as an owner or location manager, that your arrangement team, that they are entering accurate information into the system. This is another reason why, and I say this in every single arranger training I have, entering no email at noemail.com or any kind of fake email address in the system is really not helpful at all. If there's truly not an email address available for a family member, it's better to leave it blank than to put in a false one, because we will collect that data. We will see that it's a false one, and we want to be able to appropriately report to you guys to see what's actually missing, what's actually accurate. And you can see that it would bounce anyway. It would also delay the rest of the delivery cadence of the survey. So if there's an email address in there, the system's going to attempt to send it 3 times. And then if it doesn't go through, then it won't, or I'm sorry, if it does go through like that and it tries to process it, it won't move on to a text message or a paper invite until later on in the delivery cadence. So now, I do have a special guest with me today. A member of our business consulting team is taking the time out of his busy schedule to join me on this presentation. And I'm going to quickly pass the mic over to him. Derek Hussman is with me. Hi, Derek. How are you doing?
Good, Taylor. How are you?
Good. I'm good, thanks. So, I appreciate you joining me. I just wanted to ask, from a business consulting perspective, what is, the stance on data collection? I mean, what if a manager is having a hard time herding cats, if you will, trying to get everyone to enter right information?
Well, and that can happen from time to time, right? Either we get really busy and we fail to collect the data or to put the data into the system properly, or we get complacent. And those two things can really be a factor. Um, so the big thing is make sure that it's in your standard operating procedures or guidelines for data collection and entry into the system. Those are going to be key drivers whether or not those surveys can go out, and if you're going to have quality data when you're reviewing your information. So one of the things that I'm always going to look at is, per arranger, how are they doing on collecting the data? Are they getting the emails? Are they getting the phone numbers? You know, making sure that they're actually following through to where that we have, again, quality data to analyze. So really push that to your team, and make sure that everybody understands the importance of it. So that way we don't have those gaps. And mid-year is a good time to check it. Obviously, we want to check it more often, but it's a good reminder mid-year. Hey, how are we doing? How's our frequency on our surveys coming back? Are we hitting the target of 40 some percent? Or are we falling short? So um, again, great opportunity mid-year to really take a look at your process, make sure that everybody's on board, and that you're getting the information that you need.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That's
Mhm.
very validating for me to hear as well, just on what I'm preaching to clients. So thank you so much for that. Now I am gonna go ahead and dive into, oops, apologies. Dive into what some of the top scores are in the system right now. This is really valuable insight for our competitive performance tracker X users that really get into this excellence in customer service award that we give out at the end of every year. We award the top 15 locations in these three different size call volume categories. And, there's, so that's 45 awards total, but that's a very, less than 1% percentage of all of the locations that are on Performance Tracker, and that's nationwide. Also some in Canada, and we have a Jamaica location now as well. But the highest scores in the system are, the ones that are ranked at number one right now. It's kind of insane that they're this high. I don't by any means expect every funeral home will be this high. But something to note that we do primarily focus on the total value index when calculating these scores. There are a lot of different metrics that we use when qualifying. And obviously, minimum response rate is one of those. You have to have at least 25 survey responses at your location. So I will say that there's a lot of different qualifiers in place. But taking a look at the highest total value index, you can see in the larger category of greater than 300, it is a little bit lower this year, which is pretty interesting. It's always going to be a little bit lower from what I've noticed of in comparison to the lower call volume locations, and that just kind of really says like, hey, at the smaller locations, they're obviously taking the time to really instill value in the family's experience, and make sure the entire experience is good, because the total value index score does encompass the value question on the survey, the net promoter score, and the overall performance score. So it's a really great identifier or metric to use in terms of measuring overall health of customer service in your business. Minimum qualifying scores right now 963, 977.7, and 945.0. That's for an entry point into the top 15. So if you guys are below these scores right now, you would not qualify for an award. And that's something that is really the number to beat when you're trying to achieve that award at the end of the year. So halfway through, I just want to give everyone kind of a temperature read on where we're at. This slide deck will be sent to anyone registered for today's webinar, so you will have these numbers in front of you to share with your teams. But if you guys have any questions or would like an update more often on what these numbers are, you can reach out to me anytime, and I'm more than happy to pull these for you. Now, I have some trends here that I found pretty interesting. Last year, I didn't really speak much to um, the the trends over time, but I did speak to the total value index rankings by case type. So, breaking that TVI down even further to the case type, and the awards that we provide, they are given to any funeral home at need organizations, and that includes both cremation and funeral cases. So I do have it separated here. All of the gold lines are going to be cremation families, and all of the blue are going to be burial families. You can see some like pretty interesting trends, and they're really like taking a turn. And this was something I noticed at the industry level. When I was putting this slide deck together, I was messing around with some of the new tools that we've got here internally, and I wanted to this really jumped out to me, so I wanted to share it with you guys today. Satisfaction scores when it comes to value, and obviously, what do consumers relate value to? Price. So pricing is always, expected to be a little bit higher when it comes to traditional burial, which means that value would then switch over to cremation, because families are seeing like, hey, it's a little bit more convenient for my buck, more bang for my buck. It's not as expensive. It's not the full service. But even cremation with memorial has taken the turn here. So, what I wanted to talk about today is, you can see in 2024 that cremation was solidly in the lead at very high total value index scores. This year, it's kind of taken a turn. I mean, it really dipped last year for direct cremation, but the traditional memorial or traditional and with memorial both have kind of shifted. So they're moving down. And what that's telling me is that organizations that are using Performance Tracker are being a lot more consistent about displaying the value of burial cases, because those burial numbers are going up for the value scores. So obviously, like with a service, a traditional service, it's going to be pretty high up here in the mid tier. But you can see even like pre-needs pretty high. I think immediate at need is the lowest one on here, and then graveside at need is going to be the highest one up here. But I just thought it was really interesting that it is taking a shift in the profession as a whole, for this trend. Now, obviously, this is only halfway through the year, so we'll see where these numbers fall at the end of the year. This is the full year of these two years, and I did that because I wanted to make sure that we were seeing the final trend in the year. So I will review something similar to this report at the end of the year as well, and we'll see where we fall. But that's a pretty interesting statistic that I found while I was putting this together. Now, to kind of wrap us up a little bit here, I am going to close out something else that you guys should be reviewing throughout the year, obviously, but definitely during this halfway point. Your contract sales analysis reports. So I want to make sure that first of all, everyone knows how to access these reports, and that you guys are actually utilizing them. You've probably noticed, if you're an avid attendee of Tea Time webinar, that we've really been focusing on these reports this year, because I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think enough clients are getting the value out of these reports, and you really should be, because our business consulting team uses these reports in order to make sure that our clients are, able to identify business trends and make corrections to the way they're either providing information to families, or that they are performing a mid-year assessment of proper contract sales. So similar to the point of sale data entry on the survey side of and ensuring contact information is accurate, we want to make sure the case type mapping is accurate. So that's a huge thing. We do map all of the custom case types that are in your system, and we take them to um we take them to a higher level called the standard case type in our system. So you can see here is an example of one of those sales reports rolled up into the standard case type. We have burial, traditional at need, but then in someone's point of sale system, it might be a lot more custom than that. So we need to make sure that all of your custom case types are rolling up into the accurate categories. So all of the sales reporting can come out accurately. Something that I've noticed in the past too is that maybe the maybe like discounts column is not accurately calculating. We want to make sure we audit those numbers against either your accounting. If you are with Johnson Consulting accounting team, we will do this audit for you internally. But if not, then we want to make sure that you guys are taking the time to take a look at that, because we, won't have access to look at those numbers ourselves. So just reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns when you're taking a look and really auditing the data. Now, evaluating pricing for next year's changes. This is something that Derek is still with us, so I'm going to go ahead and ask him on this. Derek, what from the business consulting perspective would you say is really important when you're looking at making a pricing adjustment?
Well, there's quite a few things that would go into a pricing adjustment. And, I mean, it's a much deeper conversation. Um, but from the data that you're going to have here, we're going to look at average revenue per call. Um, I what you don't see here is you're going to have your average expense per call as well. And understanding if expenses are going up and there's more pressures on service types, how much are you going to need to recoup to offset that and maintain your EBITDA or your profitability? So it's a great start in understanding, where you're at. The other side of this is, especially on the example that Taylor has here for the arranger, um, to me, this is more of an identifier of areas of opportunity for the individual um, arranger. If the if you've got a top producing arranger, what are they doing different? What are they doing that is best practices that you could train additional staff for? Um, for example, I had a young director working with me, and his average cremation was always so much higher than the rest of the team. And so sat down to find out what was going on, and he assumed a service every time, and he assumed a earn sale every time. And I know that sounds simple, but it drove his sales. He wasn't a pressure salesman, but he just would ask the questions. When would you like services? Even if it was a direct cremation, and it at least opened up a conversation. Again, he assumed that it was going to be an urn sale, so we asked him about urns. Something as simple as that can drive those numbers for the families that are open to having additional services and or purchase merchandise. So I would look at that from that perspective. Again, these reports are great to allow you to ask deeper questions to understand where the pricing levers that you're going to pull when you're setting your new GPLs for the following year, or additional service offerings that you may not currently be providing. So again, great tools to gather some insight.
Awesome. Thank you, Derek. To everyone in the dashboard, if you're following along with us, I know a lot of people do that during these presentations. If you guys click on the little carrot top at the top navigation tab, you'll see a drop down, and there will be a tab called Sales Reports. That's where you would download all of the Johnson Consulting enterprise reports that are available to you in Performance Tracker. So I've done presentations on that in this webinar before, and I certainly help a lot of clients one-on-one about it when they reach out. But if you guys have any questions about how to download them, which reports should you be looking at, maybe you're interested in speaking to a member of our business consulting team like Derek one-on-one about your business, then please reach out, and we will make sure that the appropriate person gets back to you with some information, and they can help you work through what you need. Now, kind of a great transition into this next topic is we do have our leadership and management course coming up in Scottsdale. So we have a few spots left, I believe, and it is on site the 13th through the 15th here in Scottsdale for 3 days. If you have any up and coming leaders on your team that would benefit from this session, or if you want to learn more about what will be talked about in these sessions, please feel free to reach out to us. I know that Vince on our business consulting team is just a wizard with this course. So if you guys have any interest in this or the other business consulting services available to you, just let us know. This is just a reminder that I do at the end of every single tea time, that all of the past sessions of this webinar are available to you in your dashboard. They're also available to you on the slide deck. So I have every single presentation linked here. If you guys are interested in looking at past subject matter, and it goes up until last month of this year. So we will be adding the July one as well once we have this one fully wrapped. But I know we're running, or we're totally out of time. Sorry, we are a little over on our time today. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join me this afternoon. For most of you, morning here in Arizona. But if you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact us at support@j3techsolutions.com. I receive all those emails. Everyone on my performance tracker team receives those emails. So we will be able to make sure that the appropriate person is informed of what you're asking about, and we can get back to you as soon as possible on any questions you may have. But thank you, Derek, for jumping in today and providing some insight. I really appreciate you attending. And thank you for everyone who registered today and keeping this webinar going. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any requests for future topics. I'm more than happy to, I want to cater this to you guys and to what you want to learn more about. So have a great second half of the year and have a good afternoon. And thank you again for joining.